Much has... May I say...
Your transaction may now...
Cool. 125 feet per second.
Thank you.
I know you'll do the and you, Jonathan.
Need more fire.
Armor piercing.
Sudah pensiun 5 tahun lalu. Kita lihat saja.
Obviously in pain.
We be
A parlay.
That was a pretty good fight.
It's my breath.
John Wick, now excommunicado and with a $14 million bounty on his head, finds himself relentlessly pursued by an army of the world's most elite assassins. As he fights for survival, he must seek help from old acquaintances and navigate the brutal, unforgiving rules of the High Table, all while desperately trying to find a way to earn his life back.
Put your weapon, wish to become the same.
We'll find you.
Perhaps you were not listening before.
The stove.
How you show me your fail. Okay. Well, and I will kill you. I'm sorry.
Don't.
Shot my dog. Now.
detail yet.
Hey guys, today we are diving headfirst, or maybe more accurately, running and gunning headfirst, into the third installment of our favorite dog-loving assassin saga, John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. If you thought the previous movies were intense, just wait until you see John with a literally exponentially higher price on his head, making every alleyway, every street corner, and even every library a deadly dance floor. This is a passion project for me, and a like or a subscribe is the best way to show your support. So if you're on board, join the crew. If not, thanks for watching anyway. The story opens, fittingly enough, in a downpour. The rain in New York City is coming down in sheets, mirroring the torrent of trouble that's about to wash over John Wick. He's running, of course, because that's what John does best when he's not fighting or contemplating the loss of his wife. His breath comes in ragged gasps, misting in the cool night air, as the sound of the city, typically a dull roar, is now punctuated by the frantic drumming of rain on asphalt. He's got his new pit bull, a silent, loyal shadow, trotting faithfully by his side. A glance at his phone shows the countdown clock, ticking away the last few precious minutes before the full weight of the High Table's fury is unleashed. 75 minutes remain until he's officially excommunicado and an open target for every trigger-happy merc with a few golden coins to spare. It's like a really high-stakes game of musical chairs, and John is definitely going to be the last one standing, if he can help it. He pulls himself into a cab, the interior a temporary sanctuary from the elements and the impending doom. He offers the driver a single golden coin, the universal currency of this hidden underworld, a silent agreement to be taken wherever he needs to go, no questions asked. The driver, knowing the code, nods with a practiced, almost bored resignation. John's destination? The New York Public Library. Because where else would a man on the run from an entire syndicate go but to a place of quiet contemplation and ancient knowledge? It's almost comically fitting, really. Inside the grand, hushed halls of the library, the quiet is a stark contrast to the chaos outside and the storm brewing within John. He's looking for something specific, a rare book, a token of a past life, or perhaps a clue for the future. He pulls a specific volume from the shelf, its binding worn with age, and inside, tucked away like a forgotten memory, is a crucifix and a rosary. These aren't just religious artifacts, they are markers of his former life, a life he thought he had left behind, a life tied to the Ruska Roma, a criminal syndicate with its own set of rules and loyalties, a place where John was once known as Jardani Jovanovic. He also finds a blood oath medallion, a powerful, unbreakable bond from a time long past. Just as he's gathering these relics, a hulking figure approaches. It's Ernest, a fellow assassin, a man who clearly has no qualms about breaking library etiquette. The countdown is official. $14 million is a lot of incentive to be rude. Ernest, a mountain of a man, makes his move. The library, designed for quiet study, becomes a brutal arena. The crack of a punch echoes unnaturally loud against the high ceilings. John, ever the resourceful fighter, uses the environment to his advantage. Books become projectiles, shelves become improvised weapons, and the very architecture of the building is turned against his attacker. He dispatches Ernest with a heavy book to the head, a surprisingly effective and somewhat ironic weapon. He then uses Ernest's own weight to snap his neck against a tall shelf, a sickening crunch that speaks volumes about John's desperation and efficiency. As he flees, another assassin, wielding a knife, lunges. John, a master of close-quarters combat, swiftly disarms him, turning the blade against the attacker in a swift, brutal thrust. The man crumples, a silent testament to John's unyielding will to survive. The library attack is a bloody ballet of desperation set against a backdrop of literary history. Next stop, an antique store. The clatter of old swords and armor hangs in the air, a metallic symphony of potential weapons. This is where John meets an old friend, a man who specializes in blade weaponry, named Cassian. Okay, not Cassian. That was the previous movie. This is a new guy, just as unhelpful. Actually, this is where John finds his old friend, the manager of an antique store, who offers him a quiet space to recuperate and a new suit. A fresh suit, because even when you're on the run from the entire criminal underworld, you still need to look presentable, right? The manager, though hesitant, offers a moment of respite and a quiet understanding, a fleeting glimpse of humanity in a world devoid of it.
But the peace doesn't last. A group of assassins, clearly not interested in antique porcelain, storm the store. The ensuing fight is a whirlwind of sharp objects and even sharper reflexes. John, surrounded, uses the display cases, the samurai swords, and even a heavy antique axe with deadly precision. The clash of metal, the shattering of glass, the grunt of effort, and the thud of bodies hitting the floor create a cacophony of violence. It's less a fight and more an art form of destruction, John moving with a dancer's grace, each movement economical and lethal. He dispatches them all, the sounds of their dying gasps swallowed by the city's roar outside. Barely escaping, John finds himself on horseback. Yes, a horse. Because when you've already used cars, trains, and your fists, a horse is the next logical step for a high-speed chase through the urban jungle. He gallops through the rain-slick streets, assassins on motorcycles in hot pursuit. The hooves thunder against the pavement, a rhythmic, desperate beat. The chase is exhilarating, a blend of classic Western and modern action movie, with John using the horse as both transportation and an offensive weapon, kicking and bucking at his pursuers. He navigates traffic, weaving between cars, the horse's powerful muscles straining with every stride. It's ridiculous and utterly awesome. He reaches the stables, a brief haven, before another brutal confrontation begins. He literally uses a horse to kick an assassin in the face. It's the kind of over-the-top moment that makes you lean forward and grin. After the stable fight, John needs to get out of New York. He contacts the director, Angelica Feston's character, the head of the Ruska Roma. He presents her with the crucifix and the medallion, invoking the blood oath. He reminds her of the debt she owes him, a life debt from when he saved her from a violent past. The director, cold and regal, acknowledges the debt but reminds him of the consequences. Helping him means incurring the wrath of the high table. She agrees, with a heavy sigh, to honor the bond. In exchange for safe passage to Casablanca, she demands payment. 7 cuts from a knife, self-inflicted. John, stoic and resolute, plunges the knife into his flesh 7 times, each cut a grim reminder of the price of survival, the blood dripping onto the wooden floor. His face remains impassive, a testament to his hardened will, even as the pain must be excruciating. He knows the cost, and he's willing to pay it. The wound is tended by a doctor, a man who, like many in this world, knows how to patch up a master assassin without asking too many questions. The sounds of him stitching the deep gashes are sickeningly precise, a reminder of the fragility of flesh and bone, even for someone as resilient as John. He knows the cost, and he's willing to pay it. The wound is tended by a doctor, a man who, like many in this world, knows how to patch up a master assassin without asking too many questions. The sounds of him stitching the deep gashes are sickeningly precise, a reminder of the fragility of flesh and bone, even for someone as resilient as John.
John arrives in Casablanca, a vibrant, chaotic city under the desert sun. His first stop is to find an old friend, a manager of the Casablanca Continental, Sophia Al-Azwar, played by the amazing Halle Berry. Sophia, like John, is a former assassin, now bound by the rules of the High Table, managing her own establishment. She has 2 loyal, beautifully trained Malinois dogs, which are not just pets but extensions of her fighting prowess. When John approaches her, she's guarded, even hostile. He needs her help to get to the Elder, the mysterious figure who sits above the High Table, the only one who might be able to offer him a reprieve. He presents her with a blood oath marker, a physical reminder of a past favor, a debt she owes him. It's a moment of tense negotiation, 2 dangerous people bound by an old promise. Sophia, wary of the High Table's reach, initially refuses, but the marker is undeniable. The debt involves a past favor where John saved her daughter. The emotional weight of this past hangs heavy between them. She agrees, reluctantly, to take him to Barada, a former High Table enforcer, a desert chieftain who might know the Elder's location. Before they can even get there, Sophia asks for her blood oath marker back. John, unable to physically produce it immediately, frustrates her. She shoots him, not to kill, but to make a point, a precise shot into his bulletproof suit, a warning about pushing her too far. He clutches his chest, the dull thud of the bullet against the reinforced fabric, a grim reminder of how quickly allegiances can shift. They arrive at Barada's compound. It's a lavish, opulent place, betraying a life of immense wealth and power. Barada, a menacing figure, greets them with a chilling smile. He explains that to locate the Elder, one must suffer, one must truly earn the right. He demands one of Sophia's dogs as payment for the information. A dog for information? This guy clearly doesn't understand animal lovers. Sophia refuses, her voice a low growl of defiance. Barada, enraged by her refusal, shoots one of her dogs. The yelp of pain, sharp and heart-wrenching, electrifies Sophia. The dog, thankfully, is wearing a bulletproof vest, but the intent was clear, and it ignites Sophia's fury, turning her into a whirlwind of vengeance. What follows is an incredible, hyper-stylized action sequence involving Sophia and her 2 dogs. The dogs, trained with unbelievable precision, act as extensions of her will, leaping, biting, and distracting enemies while Sophia unleashes a flurry of gunfire and martial arts. The sounds are a symphony of chaos, the sharp bark of the dogs, the rapid-fire bursts of her pistols, the crunch of bones, the cries of Barada's men. John, seeing Sophia's unleashed fury, joins the fray. He moves with his characteristic efficiency, his movements a blur of calculated violence. They fight their way through the compound, leaving a trail of bodies in their wake. The dogs are phenomenal, biting groins, taking down opponents, and even dragging a man by his leg into a wall. It's a breathtaking display of synchronized combat, the dog's growls and snarls intermingling with the shouts of the combatants. This is where you realize these aren't just pets, they're highly specialized attack partners. After the brutal fight, having extracted the information from Barada, who now lies bleeding profusely, they escape into the desert. John, ever the practical one, questions Sophia's attachment to the dogs. She reveals that they are the only things that remind her of her daughter. The conversation is brief, but it offers a rare glimpse into the emotional core of these hardened killers, a moment of shared humanity and vulnerability under the harsh desert sun. The wind whips sand across their faces, a gritty reminder of their desperate journey. John then embarks on a long, arduous trek across the desert. He's alone, exposed to the elements, the sun beating down mercilessly, the sand stretching endlessly in every direction. His water runs out. He collapses, exhausted, dehydrated, and at the end of his rope. This is a deliberate act of self-purification, a trial by fire, or rather, by sand.
He is found by a group of high table enforcers and brought before the elder, who is located in the middle of nowhere, sitting on a throne of sorts, draped in flowing robes. The elder, a cryptic and ancient figure, holds ultimate authority in the high table's world. He asks John why he seeks him. John, stripped of his usual defiance, humbly states his desire to live, to continue to remember his wife, Helen. The elder offers John a choice: die and be free, or live and serve the high table, forever bound to their will. If John chooses to live, he must pay a heavy price. He must cut off his ring finger, the one that once bore his wedding ring, and offer it as a symbol of his fealty and a severance from his past life. He must also kill Winston, the manager of the New York Continental, a man he respects, to prove his loyalty. John, desperate, makes the impossible choice. He agrees. The sound of the knife, swift and precise, severing his finger is not shown, but the implication is visceral. His face, etched with pain, remains firm. He offers the elder his ring and his severed finger, a symbolic sacrifice. The elder accepts, sealing the new, terrible pact. The high table, always in need of loyal enforcers, now has John Wick, once their greatest adversary, under their thumb. John, desperate, makes a new mission: return to New York and kill Winston. He arrives back in the city, visibly scarred, physically diminished by his ordeal, but with a renewed sense of purpose, however grim. The high table has dispatched an adjudicator, a meticulous, by-the-book enforcer, to punish everyone who helped John. The adjudicator, a woman of impeccable dress and chilling demeanor, moves with a quiet, devastating authority. She visits the director of the Roscaroma, the one who gave John passage to Casablanca. For her transgression, the adjudicator orders her hands to be sliced repeatedly, a brutal, public punishment designed to send a clear message. The screams of pain, though muffled, are a chilling reminder of the high table's absolute power. Then, the adjudicator visits the Bowery King, the leader of an underground network of beggars and assassins who provided John with a pistol and some bullets earlier. The Bowery King, flamboyant and defiant, refuses to back down. For his aid to John, the adjudicator orders his 7 cuts. His men are swiftly taken down, and the Bowery King is cut 7 times by a high table ninja, each slash a deep, painful gouge, echoing John's own self-inflicted wounds. He collapses, blood pooling around him, a grim picture of high table justice. The sounds of the blades whistling through the air, the heavy thud of bodies, and the Bowery King's defiant grunts of pain underscore the brutal reality. Finally, the adjudicator arrives at the New York Continental, accompanied by a squad of high table enforcers and the mysterious Zero, a ninja master who is disturbingly obsessed with John Wick, almost like a fanboy. She confronts Winston, demanding his resignation for failing to execute John Wick on Continental grounds. Winston, ever the picture of calm, refuses. He invokes his rights as manager, knowing the rules better than anyone. The adjudicator gives him 1 hour to reconsider. Winston, with Sharon, his loyal concierge by his side, begins to prepare. He orders the Continental staff to move its most valuable assets, knowing that war is imminent. He then declares the Continental deconsecrated, stripping it of its neutral ground status, making it a legitimate target for high table violence. This is a declaration of war. John arrives at the Continental, the tension palpable. He meets Winston, expecting to fulfill his grim duty. Winston, instead, looks at him with a knowing gaze. He explains that they are fighting together. This isn't just about John anymore. It's about the sanctity of the Continental, the defiance of the high table's oppressive rule. It's a moment of shared purpose, a quiet understanding between 2 men who operate in shades of gray. Sharon, ever the professional, hands John new weapons, a knowing glint in his eye. The stage is set for an epic showdown. The high table forces, led by Zero and his ninja students, breach the Continental. The first wave consists of heavily armored tactical teams, protected by bulletproof suits and ballistic shields. The Continental staff, surprising in their combat readiness, quickly engages. Sharon, ever dapper, wields a shotgun with surprising ferocity, dispatching enemies with practiced ease. The lobby, usually a place of quiet elegance, erupts into a symphony of gunfire. The staccato bursts of machine guns, the heavy boom of shotguns, the sharp crack of pistols. Glass shatters, pillars crumble, and the opulent decor is shredded by a hail of bullets. The fight choreography here is absolutely insane. John, initially using only a pistol, moves like a wraith, navigating the chaos, taking down enemies with his characteristic headshots and quick, brutal disarmament moves. The first major confrontation is in the glass-walled display cases, where John uses his knowledge of the building to his advantage, sending adversaries crashing through fragile barriers. The sound of splintering glass, the grunts of impact, and the rapid-fire exchange of bullets create a truly immersive experience. It's a relentless onslaught, a constant movement from one deadly encounter to the next. John's stamina is superhuman, but you can hear the strain in his breathing, the increasing weariness in his movements, the subtle flinches as bullets whiz by, often leaving trails of splintered concrete.
Winston meets the adjudicator on the rooftop, with John and Sharon flanking him. The adjudicator, ever pragmatic, offers Winston a choice: step down and live, or continue the rebellion and die. Winston, with a glint in his eye, states that he believes he's made his point. He wants his hotel, his rules. He argues that the Continental, as a place of neutral ground, is a vital part of the High Table's ecosystem, a necessary evil, and that the High Table cannot simply destroy it without suffering consequences themselves. He then makes a declaration of fealty to the High Table. He offers John Wick as a peace offering, betraying him in what appears to be a cold, calculating move. He aims his pistol at John, who stands on the edge of the roof looking out over the city. The wind whips John's hair, and the city hums beneath them, oblivious to the high-stakes drama unfolding. Winston shoots John, not once, but several times, sending him plummeting from the towering rooftop of the Continental. The sound of the gunshots, echoing in the open air, are shockingly loud. John's body hits various awnings and structures on the way down, the sounds of impact sickeningly real, before he finally crashes into an alley below, landing among the trash and grime, his body a broken mess. The fall is brutal, a truly painful-looking descent. It feels like a complete betrayal, an act of shocking ruthlessness even for this world. Winston, standing above, watches him fall, his face inscrutable. The adjudicator observes, seemingly satisfied. She declares the Continental consecrated once more, and peace is seemingly restored, at least for Winston. But John Wick is not dead. The Bowery King, who we saw getting 7 cuts earlier, discovers John's barely breathing body in the alley. The Bowery King is also grievously wounded, his body a map of scars, but his spirit is unbroken, his voice a gravelly whisper of defiance. He carries John to his underground lair, a surprisingly extensive network beneath the city streets, populated by his loyal, disfigured followers. In the bowels of this hidden world, John is tended to. His body is a wreck, broken bones, massive internal trauma, but he's alive, a testament to his indomitable will, and perhaps a bit of plot armor, let's be honest. The Bowery King, lying next to him on another makeshift bed, slowly recovers from his own wounds. He addresses John, asking if John is angry at Winston for his betrayal, angry at the High Table for their endless pursuit. John, barely able to speak, his voice a ragged whisper, simply says, "Yeah."
The Bowery King, with a grim smile, looks at John. "Are you feeling theatrical?" he asks, his voice imbued with a newfound, vengeful resolve. He offers John a chance to fight back, to truly defy the High Table, to wage war against them. It's a moment of shared understanding, a new alliance forged in pain and betrayal.
The final image of the movie is John and the Bowery King, both broken but not defeated, ready to unleash their collective fury upon the high table. The sounds of their ragged breathing, the dripping water in the sewer, and the metallic clang of something in the distance all hint at the coming storm. This isn't an ending, it's a prelude to a much larger conflict, a battle for true independence from the tyranny of the high table. John, once an individual seeking peace, is now a symbol, a leader of the wronged, ready to ignite a full-scale rebellion. The journey of John Wick in Parabellum is less about finding a way out and more about understanding there might not be one. It's about a man constantly pushed to his limits, making increasingly impossible choices, and suffering consequences that would break lesser individuals. His initial desperation to escape, to merely survive and hold on to the memory of Helen, evolves into a raw, burning defiance. The choice to cut off his finger wasn't just a physical sacrifice, it was a symbolic severance from his past, an acknowledgement that he might never truly be free. Yet, even in this submission, his spirit remains unbroken. The betrayal by Winston, while shocking, ultimately serves to galvanize John's resolve, showing him that the high table's reach is absolute, and true peace will only come through its destruction, or at least a significant challenge to its authority. He moves from a lone wolf to a reluctant leader, forging alliances born of shared suffering. Every punch, every bullet, every desperate escape reinforces his unwavering will to live, to fight, and to reclaim a life that was unjustly taken from him. His emotional arc culminates not in a resolution, but in a hardened resolve for open warfare, his grief and loss transformed into a burning furnace of vengeance. This chapter really hammered home the idea that John Wick isn't just a highly skilled assassin. He's a force of nature, an embodiment of pure, unadulterated willpower. The way he navigates betrayal after betrayal, the sheer physical and emotional toll he endures, makes you wonder if anyone could truly break him. His motivations, initially so tied to Helen, now seem to encompass a larger struggle for autonomy, for the right to simply exist outside the high table's iron fist. The movie's relentless pace and brutal action sequences are always anchored by John's quiet resolve, his almost mournful determination. He carries the weight of his past, the memory of his wife, and the burden of his excommunicado status with a stoicism that is both awe-inspiring and heartbreaking. He's a man constantly choosing to fight, not because he loves violence, but because it's the only path left to him. The film leaves us with the profound understanding that sometimes the only way forward is to burn everything down and rebuild, a testament to the unyielding spirit of a man who just wants to be left alone, but whose past refuses to let him go. This third chapter in the John Wick saga masterfully elevates the stakes, pushing its protagonist through an almost unbearable gauntlet of physical and emotional torment. It not only deepens our understanding of John's motivations and the intricate rules of his world, but also delivers some of the most creative and breathtaking action sequences ever put on film. It's a visceral, character-driven masterpiece that leaves you breathless and eagerly anticipating what fresh hell